about how to go from a meat and potatoes diet to a more plant-based diet. My name is Jen Hernandez. I am a registered dietitian and I'm board certified in renal nutrition. And here we talk about how to follow a more plant-based diet to support kidney health and help preserve kidney function no matter the stage or situation. So one of the things that we hear all the time is, I grew up on a meat and potatoes diet, and the idea of going into a plant-based or sometimes even vegan diet is just not a thing for me. It is not appealing whatsoever. And that makes sense because it is a really, really big change, and we don't necessarily need to be thinking about it in such a this or that type of situation. We really can look at it in all of the varieties and making smaller shifts in the meals day to day that can still add up to a lot of great benefit. I have seen this personally with clients that did not want to go with a fully plant-based diet and still found great results in preserving their kidney function and increasing variety in the foods that they got to enjoy. So this idea of a meat and potatoes diet basically means that it's not a meal unless there is a piece of meat on the plate. That's kind of where this idea comes from and what I've been told from various students and clients and even family members that have this belief. So we don't want to necessarily take away the meat entirely if that is going to be a really big struggle for you. But what we can do is look at cutting down the portion and then adding something else. That's always what we want to look at doing, is adding onto the plate, what can we give more to help provide interest, of flavor, variety. That's all going to be really helpful. And then of course, the nutritional benefits too, but I really like to look at it to make sure that people enjoy the foods that they have on their plate. So here are 3 ways that you can shift from a meat and potatoes diet to a more plant-based diet. First of all, look at cutting the animal protein portion that you have in half. Whether this is a piece of chicken on your plate or if it's a casserole type meal where the meat is mixed in, you can literally half the amount of animal meat that you're using in a recipe and then incorporate other nutrients, other foods into it to supplement because we want to add something more. So you can include things like tofu, tempeh, and these are soy products that do have protein, but they're lower in protein compared to the animal protein counterparts when we're looking at the same weight or amount. So you're going to be getting less protein, but still some plant protein, plus a lot of phytonutrients and other benefits that can really support not just our kidney health, but our overall health, including cholesterol levels, heart health, blood pressure, blood sugar. A lot of benefits come from incorporating more plants and plant proteins into the diet. So using something like that in addition to a smaller amount of your animal protein can work out really well. So for example, tempeh comes as a block, but you can actually crumble it up and break it down, and it makes a great ground meat substitute. So you could use this in addition to some ground meat for something like tacos, just by using less of the ground meat and incorporating that broken down tempeh, adding your spices, cooking it the same way you would, but you'll have less. And oftentimes these plant proteins are much more affordable than the animal proteins. So you're also going to be saving money when you're able to stretch out the food or the animal proteins that you're using on a day-to-day basis. So using those kinds of proteins can be a great option. You can also use beans and lentils as another type of substitute. And remember, we've talked about this before, but canned beans and lentils are great. Dried are great as well. They do involve more cooking. So if you have time to spend in the kitchen prepping and cooking them, that can be great. But canned is a great option and is go-to ready for you at any time. Drain, rinse, and get going. It's super easy and just a really affordable way to add more bulk into your meal. So using something like canned black beans or canned pinto beans can be great for a casserole or again for tacos, which is such an easy meal to put together and have all these vegetables and lower proteins in the mix. So those are a few options for you to be including different types of plant proteins onto the meal, into the diet. Another option is to increase the vegetables on your plate. So when we're cutting down on the animal proteins, we still want to have a full plate. And that might mean like a double portion of vegetables or maybe 2 portions of 2 different types of vegetables. or cooking the animal protein with more vegetables. If you're doing, again, like a casserole or some type of mixed dish, like a stir fry, add in more vegetables to give more bulk and visual appeal to that food, because those vegetables, not only do they bring us these micronutrients that we really benefit from, but they provide a really beautiful dish. Plant-based dishes, one of the greatest things about them is that they look so appealing with the wide variety of color and textures that you can get. So look at adding some extra veggies like shredded carrots or shredded cabbage, kale, all kinds of things, some more diced onions, bell peppers. There are tons of kidney-friendly vegetables, and if potassium is a concern, what I typically like to recommend is focusing on a larger quantity of the lower potassium varieties. So if you want a whole list of low potassium vegetables, go to plantpoweredkidneys.com and look up our low potassium diet, because we have a whole list of low potassium fruits and vegetables there that you can just print off and have for your own reference. So a lot of information there for you as well. So that's our second option, is to increase the vegetables with the meal. The third option is to incorporate more whole grains. Now, the reason I specify whole grains is because whole grains also come with some plant protein. So cutting down on that animal protein, you're actually going to be getting protein from those whole grains. You're also going to be getting fiber, which is another great nutrient to help us feel full. And there's a lot of talk on social media about how protein is so important because it helps us feel full, but fiber also does that too. And most people don't get enough fiber. So getting more vegetables and adding those whole grains can really bump up the fiber content of your meals and help you feel fuller longer. So looking at things like farro, bulgur, whole wheat pasta, brown rice, or wild rice, there's a ton at so many types of whole grains that are available, and they can be really fun to play with and to experiment to see if just making one change with the type of grain that you use can totally change the flavor of a dish. So I really encourage you to try a whole grain that you haven't used before to see what that would look like in one of your favorite recipes, or maybe in a totally new recipe that you could put together. I hope this gave you some ideas of how to transition more from a meat and potato diet to a more plant-based diet. Remember, the most important thing is the consistency of making these smaller changes. Doing a dramatic change will not make a significant impact if it's not something that is considered a lifestyle change for you. That is, it's not going to be a temporary diet that you can go back to down the road. You need to find something that will work for you down the long haul. If you found this video helpful, please like it or share it so that other people can learn and listen to how we provide more information about kidney-friendly meals and how to protect kidney health in any stage, in any situation.